Hi, my people, and Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome to Neurodigest podcast with me, your host, Dr. Sylvia Mochabo. And it is January, a new year, new opportunities, and we are here to continue with our offer conversations, real life stories about exactly what it is that we go through in life here in the African continent as caregivers and persons with neurodevelopmental disabilities. So today, being January, I want us to talk about back to school and starting school. Actually, this conversation got prompted earlier today when I bumped into a parent and we just got talking. Normally it would be like, "Hi, Dr. Sylvia, I follow you or I've seen you," or in various places, and we kick off the conversation, kawaida mom to mom talks, and their topic about how are you doing, typical catch up, and the story went towards school. And as we were talking, I could just see tears welling in this parent's eye, and I realized this is a conversation we have not had, so let's have it today. So the thing with autistic children, not all of them, but most of them, when we talk about, they are not okay with change. This means change in all the aspects in life. Anything small that's about to change in their routine, because they adore, they love routine. That means something as small as you're coming to get a new nanny, your nanny is going away, or you're changing the routine, like if they go swimming and they're not going to go swimming. You start early, you start telling them way in advance, like a week, like, "Oh, we're not going to go to school tomorrow." Even if they're not talking, they always understand. Or if you're using visuals, you'd say you bring the change, that this one will not be there, but that let them know in advance makes their lives easier. Why am I saying this? Most of the time as parents, we are eager for the time we take our children to school. But the thing with autistic children is you cannot just up and take this child to school the way you do a typical child. Like, go find a school, tell them you're going to school, that school opening day, grab their hands, escort them, get into school, and fish, and you expect it to be nice and rosy. It's not going to work. So the good process for an easy transition for your special needs child is, when you're looking for schools, go with them. It's not a one size fits all, or just because it's what you want or what works for you, it might not work for them. So go with them to that school, spend time, like it's like an assessment of the area, see how they interact with the environment, have them meet the teachers, ask who their teacher would be, have them spend some time with them, see how that interpersonal relation, do they settle, are they going to be okay and comfortable? And you do it over time. If it's a school that you have already decided because of circumstances and you need them to fit there, then that's also slightly different. It's not, you don't have to go round. If you don't have any other choice and they have to be in that school, it is advisable for you to do it in phases. Week 1, you've done your research, then you go with them and let them do the meet and greet. If you're okay, then you have to have assessment. The school has to assess the child to get to know, is he comfortable with the environment, the things you want. Does the school have in-house therapy? Do they bring them in? What activities are there? What does your child like? What outdoor activities or sports would you want them to engage in? All these things matter when you're deciding which school you're going to take your special needs child. Then you go with them, even if it means day 1 you're going to spend the morning or 1 to 2 hours with the child. Remember, we are helping them adapt to this change that is coming. So they can see mommy, who's a familiar face, and you can sit at the back of the classroom as he engages and interacts. Remember, social interaction is one of the challenges, but then we are always advised that the school setup is one of the best environments to help the children, especially also picking up conversation, socialization, just being around other children, and also it helps a lot with speech. How that works is like there is that challenge of people communicating. It can be frustrating, but over time they also challenge themselves and pick up the conversation if their brain is ready. It's not that going to school is the solution for every child to start talking overnight. So manage your expectations, mom, dad, and whoever is a caregiver of this child. Don't walk in thinking that this is going to be my solution to all my autism problems. No, it is not. So when we're having this conversation with mommy, she said the behavior of the child all of a sudden has changed, and the child is having a hard time. He's not eating. He's not. He's now having behavior challenges. He's becoming self-injurious, which is banging their heads, or they're those who bite themselves. So when you're looking at behavior changes in a child, it's a way of communication for the non-speaking autistics. They're trying to tell you something. They're struggling. They can't verbalize it. So you will see in the behavior. So be keen. And it's teamwork. The teacher has to be on board and be honest with them. When you're bringing in a special needs child, let the school know my child is autistic. Sometimes we fear to say it because of stigma. But you see, when the school does not know your child is autistic, that means they don't know how to accommodate them. They will not know what the child needs to make it easier for them to integrate into the school and be with other children. And when they get violent because you did not disclose, they get the branding of they're being rude, or they're violent, or they're not settled, or they're just stubborn. And you do not want that for your child to be branded, and also for other kids not to want your child in the school. And eventually, most of the time, sadly, you find the school saying they cannot handle, and your child is sent back. So my friends, it is a process. We're on week 1. So to avoid all these things, that one day you can spend the whole day for 2-3 days. Today, skip tomorrow, as you're still having conversations. This is school. Children come here. You spend the day here. See, this child remains as you go. So don't assume that they don't understand. Remember, they work best with repetition. So if I see this is coming, this is school. Again tomorrow, this is school. Again tomorrow, this is school. So if you spend that, let's say that one morning, like alternate days, it takes sacrifice. I know someone is thinking, and my work. Remember, you have to put in for you to get in return. So you can spend that depending on how easy. So this one is not at your one size fits all. It can be a one-day thing, and they just see mommy. You see who they connect with out of the support teachers, the class teachers, and then now you interact. Remember, you're introducing a new person who's going to be central and almost with them every day. So you want someone that they naturally blend with. Their energies, their love comes, the care comes naturally without forcing it. So once you do that, then now you yourself, now you drop them for one day, they're home one day. So when you're choosing a school, so it's not you're starting at now term 1. No. You start the previous term. It's advisable. Then you pick. Or they'd rather start 1 week late. That means, so you can start the last few weeks of an ending term to know if it's a best fit. Because you can imagine now as a parent, you've gone, you've shopped, you bought uniform, you've paid full school fees, then the school tells you, no, we cannot keep your child because of the challenges they're having. It's going to break you, and it is very, very frustrating. So take your time. Go check this places out. Over time, then see how your child is, and engage them when they come back. Did you like? What did you enjoy? Have conversations with the teacher. How was the child? What did they enjoy? And then you check also with the way they were before, and you can even diarize it and see if you're doing it in multiple places to see which of the schools that the child is gaining. Check out for things like, does the school offer therapy? Do they offer which extracurricular activities? Remember, we have things like play that are key. Which curriculum does the school teach? Because we know that Montessori system works best because, and even sort of quote unquote, the CBC style of actually engaging creative, it engages their minds because most of them are creatives. Is their music, because you could find that is how we build and get to know if our children have any special talents and we're able to nurture them. Because over time then you also find that from example, academics is just not working for them. That means that's just who they are. What are you going to do? And for me, from experience, like right now, giving an example of baby A, you find that music is the one thing, one stanza, and he understands the rest of the rhythm. But our challenges, I know sadly, is actually finding the right person and the right place for our extra talented. Which brings me to my next topic. I believe that we've encompassed that when it comes to enrolling into our new school. Take your time, shop around, know what you're looking for, find a place that even the distance at home, what support system is there, what's the environment, what extracurriculum activities, how they relate with your children, how willing are they to help, and also do, when they start, just do random drop-ins in school to see that your child is actually being taken care of. There are many parents who've walked into a school, and because especially when you put your child in a typical school, and they are atypical, you will find them roaming around unattended to, because of that branding of a difficult child. You want out, get out, sort yourself, you'll come back later. So you're paying fees for your child to just walk around and do what they want, and you're not gaining anything out of it. So you have to learn to also do checking, because you cannot expect what you don't inspect. All right? You cannot expect what you don't inspect. Also ask for an IEP after the first few words. So what is the plan? What are we working with? After they've already interacted for a while, get to know that. Know that at the beginning of the term, what you're going to be working on, or at the end of the term is most likely what have we achieved this term, where do we want to go, what do you want as a parent, so that you know you have continuity even at home. If this is what the child is doing at home, you continue it in whatever is being done in school, you continue at home. Let me make you laugh. We'll get to that too. This time my son was being taught how to use scissors. And he was getting a hang of it, because that's how they learn how to do fine motor skill. And tearing papers, it's part of learning. But now it spills to the house. Anything that is paper, they meet. One day, my son tore very important documents. I nearly pulled my head off. So be on the know what is going on in school, so that you know. So what we will advise at that one is these are just random pieces of paper, and you can give them, and they know this is your stack for cutting, and we always keep it here. So that way they know, don't touch this one. These are my documents. Your documents are over there. If you need to, you can tear all you want, because you see that fine motor activity brings eye-hand coordination. They're very small things that we take for granted that actually supports our special needs children. So in a nutshell, that is now enrolling. And this same applies to not just enrolling, and it takes that taking time in enrolling, even when they're about to close school. When they're about to close school, you prepare them that this routine is about to change. You also have to ask schools, if your child needs a support aid, you have to also ask the school in advance if they accept, because there's some schools that don't accept support from outside. There are those ones who would be regular schools, and they say you need to bring a shadow teacher to also help while in school. So all those are the relevant questions that you need to ask when you're looking for a school for your child. And remember, when it comes to uniforms also, don't have to stress your child with wearing some things, because there are children who can't stand labels. There are those who don't like some textures, and they're like a cotton only child. So you have to explain those things and look for a school that is accommodating. But if you get stuck, you can also talk to us here at Autistic, because our inclusive wear has the line where we can customize your child's uniform to make it easier for them to not get frustrated. So if it's about texture, if it's about fasteners, because it needs fine motor that they cannot get, so this is your interlude, you can talk to us. We'll be able to advise, and we have a special tailor who can make adjustments to your child's uniform to make them inclusive for your child and supportive, so they don't get frustrated. If they cannot button, there are things that as easy as this one. They can hook it. It's easy. Enter and turn. Why stress your child with all this stress of laser, shoes, whatnot? So those are consultations we can give you at Autistic under our inclusive wear brand that was launched last year. And apart from that, like I said, when they're closing, remember, you start early 1 week. School is closing. When it's midterm, we're taking a break from school. It will resume after a while, so that they're able to adjust with the change and not get frustrated. When it comes to closing, you start a bit earlier. So especially the first times before they understand the sequel of how terms work, you have to let them know that it's about to take, and then you try, and when they come home, you just try and keep them occupied and have a routine. It's way easier to have a child at home who's used to being in school to have a routine for home, other than just, okay, sit in front of the TV, sit and do whatever it is that you want. That might be a bit frustrating also, because when a child who's used to routine, just try and have that for them. If you need support also in like visual supports for how to prepare a routine for your child, you can also reach out to us and we will support you. Hi and welcome back. I am still your host, Dr. Sylvia Mochabo, Akinsiku, the founder of Autistic for special needs persons, and we are discussing schools and how to actually transit your child from being at home to being in school. So we have touched on how the process of actually getting your child to blend in and settle in school, a new school, which is a big change for them. If they've been home, even transitioning from one school to another, you should still follow the same that we were saying. They take them there, let them know they're changing, communicate, let them do alternate days so that they're able to balance, and you know how much time you have also to do that transition. Now, before you even get to deciding that your child is going to go to this school, so depending on where you're based, there are places called EX centers. These are the early assessment centers for education, like KISEN, and we also have them in the counties, and we have also private practitioners. You can check out our special needs resource hub, that is www.specialneedsresourcehub.org. Under resources education, we have listed for you what EX centers are and also given you contacts, and that is the resource portal for you as a caregiver to make your journey easier. You have all the information you need to understand about autism, and on top of that you have the list of resources, both medical, health, and under social protection, plus assistive devices. So here at Autistic, we got you covered. Back to our topic. So when you go for assessment, this assessment centers and assesses practically, as opposed to spend time with your child and assess their capability. And this is education wise. Remember, we're not talking about assessment for diagnosis, because people usually confuse these two. Here it is strictly assessment for educational purposes. So they will spend time with your child, see their capabilities, and then advise you which schools to send them to. If it's going to be a regular, integrated, or a special school, depending on the ability. Remember, autism is a spectrum, so it's not, again, a one size fits all. So that is why all these things are just there to make it easier for your child to be in the right place, because you know it's very, very, very important. And then there is what I had mentioned earlier, which is our talented children, which is one of the greatest gaps that we have. Because our kids being on a spectrum, there are people who think autism is just, oh, that's a genius, that's like what you see on Good Doctor, that's what you see on XYZ or on Sheldon. Not everyone is the same, man. So everything is different. So speaking of which, our talented children who are specialized, like I know I met this cool kid who I think it was in Grangeville in Kileleshwa, who he was able to tell the day you were born. You just tell them 2010, they'll tell you it was a Monday. Like, seriously, yes, that is genius. Then you have those ones who are very good with numbers. They can do big number calculations. There are those who are good with science. There are very many talents, that are available. And I know there is a difficulty in finding the right place, so we're still researching and hoping that we'll be able to see where best children like that can be. But then there is a question of that also happened today, of if they are extra talented, where do I take them? Because they get bored when they're just in class with the others. There is the high functioning autistics. These are the ones who are able to have conversation. They could even be not talking, but then they're very good with writing. They're those who self-teach how to read. Like a caregiver was telling me their child can start reading at 1 and can read, comprehend by 2. They can do mathematics, they can see and replicate. They're those ones who have very high memory. They remember everything. Remember, it's not echolalia. Echolalia is the ones who can repeat everything that they hear. So these are all aspects of autism that are there. But now you find that now when it comes to the education side of it, they know more than their age. And the challenge is, normally, do we let them skip and then do we take them to the higher classes? Those are some of the challenges that you will find with the gifted and talented, especially in the demographics of our country, and getting a place that can accommodate them, and making those decisions for us as parents is always not easy at all. So be proud. If you want us to feature, by the way, your talented child on our special needs resource portal, we have the Afro Hero Corners, where we are putting on the spotlight African heroes who are neurodiverse, or those with neurodevelopmental disabilities like cerebral palsy. So those developmental disabilities, but they have overcome and they're doing great things despite expectations of them not being able to do it. We're looking for you to feature you on that parcel so that we can have our own African stories to tell. We're always hearing about Virgin Atlantic, Microsoft, Apple, blah, blah. No, we have our own people. So if you know of a child who's neurodivergent or a young adult who's exceptional and definitely deserves to be featured, do let us know. So today it was a short one just to bring you up to speed on back to school. Don't forget, if you need customization for uniforms to make it easier for your child with fasteners, etc., to make it inclusive, talk to us at Annie Speaks. Under our brand Inclusive Wear, we will be able to take care of you. If you want information on the different levels of education, because remember, our children don't do age-based, they do stage-based. So it is according to their capabilities. That is very, very important for you to remember when you're looking for the curriculum. You need to look for a center that works with stage-based, not age-based, because if you place your child in a class just because that's the age where they're supposed to be, that one I learned firsthand. Mine refused to go to school because of the frustrations of the things were just too high up his capability. So embrace your child for who they are and not what you expect them to be. I will sing this quote in every time and every opportunity I get, because we all know that's one of the greatest challenges, because we have expectations as caregivers for our children. So don't forget, take your time, communicate, assess, take it easy with the transition, take your time before you fully commit. Know what you want out of the school, get an IEP, get education assessment, and then let your child be your lead, because you need them to be in a place where they are loved, accepted, and integrated into the community, and not segregated on the side at a corner, yet you think that your child is going to school. As always, I am your host, Dr. Sylvia Mochabo Akinsiku, here on our Neurodigest podcast, where we have neuro conversations about facts and African stories of what it is that we are handling as caregivers of persons with special needs, and especially the neurodivergent. And until next time, it is bye-bye. But before I go, do not forget to subscribe and follow us on our social media pages, and also on our web podcast, which is Neurodigest /Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons.org. Tada, and be safe.